China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies and partners.
This is my video update on this Wednesday, April the 9th, coming to you from Ayia Napa, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with the story about Ryan Wesley Routh. Remember that guy? Ryan Wesley Routh. The guy who tried to take out Trump before he became president, when Trump was still campaigning. He was the guy on the golf course, wasn't he? And they caught him, and then they found out that he had some ties to Ukraine as well as Afghanistan. He was doing some stuff in Afghanistan, or with Afghanistan. He was definitely doing some stuff connected to Project Ukraine. I believe he was in Kiev, actually. He was actually in Kiev, this guy, Ryan Routh. And then he tried to take out the president, and they caught him. And that was pretty much it until now. We are now getting reports that Routh, he tried to purchase Ukrainian weapons, Stinger and an RPG, and he was trying to purchase this stuff from what he thought was, I guess he thought this was a Ukraine weapons dealer or something like that, on an encrypted messaging app. And I guess the idea that this guy had in his head was to possibly take out Trump's plane or something along those lines. I don't know, but he was messaging what he thought was a Ukraine weapons dealer, trying to purchase these weapons, and it looks like, at least I was watching Fox News' Jesse Waters, that he was not speaking to a weapons dealer, but he was speaking to possibly an FBI agent. This is the theory that John Kiriakou, who was on Jesse Waters, threw out there. That most likely what happened was that Routh, as he was trying to purchase these weapons, thinking he was purchasing them from Ukraine, actually was speaking to some sort of an FBI agent or informant or something like that. But then Jesse Waters asked the question, well, if they were hot on this guy because he was talking about assassinating then candidate Trump, the FBI, why did they allow it to get to the point where he was about to take out the president on the golf course? Which is a good question from Jesse Waters and Kiriakou. His reply was, the FBI just dropped the ball, man. They should have nabbed this guy a lot earlier, but they dropped the ball with him. So the New York Post put out an article with the title, "Accused would-be Trump assassin Ryan Wesley Routh tried to buy rocket launcher from Ukraine, prosecutors say." Rocket launchers from Ukraine. What does Medvedev have to say about all of this? Let's see what Dmitry Medvedev says about this big story. The U.S. has spent hundreds of billions of dollars to help Kiev. So what? Now the effing American jerks are buying guns from Bandera fans to kill their president. What a shame. Oh, merciful, real Donald Trump. Isn't it time to punish the enemies? Interesting post from Medvedev. He's not far off. You have these crazy guys, or this crazy guy, who was trying to buy weapons off of what he thought were Bandera guys so that he could take out the soon-to-be president of the United States. And what is Trump going to do about it? Probably nothing. Probably nothing at all. That's my guess. But an interesting post from Medvedev. Margarita Simonian says Trump's would-be assassin Ryan Routh tried to buy a rocket launcher from a Ukrainian, according to new DOJ documents. One missing would not be noticed, wrote Routh. Do you think Trump will be good for Ukraine? He was right on one thing. Very clever post from Margarita Simonian. Donald Trump Jr., he's asking questions. He posted on X, if you think it's bad that Ukraine never said thank you for everything the United States has done for them, the fact that they seemingly did not tell us that this sociopath literally tried to buy arms from them to assassinate my father seems like a much bigger deal. Wonder why. Well, Trump Jr. is working off of the assumption that Routh was actually speaking to a Ukraine weapons dealer, which he might have. That's very possible. You could also go with Kiriaku's theory as well. Maybe he was speaking to an FBI agent or informant. Either way, the FBI must have known about Routh. They must have known about this guy. Which comes back to Jesse Waters' question, why did the FBI let it get to the point where he was on the golf course? I like how Trump Jr. says Ukraine should say thank you for everything we've done for them. You've done a lot. Yeah, that's right, America. You've done a whole lot for Ukraine. You really have. They really should say thank you. All right, so that's the Routh story, which is a big story. What else should we discuss? He was the guy on the golf course, right? A convicted felon, Routh had unsuccessfully attempted to join the Ukrainian military in 2022. He afterwards embarked on a scheme to recruit former Afghan commandos to fight for Kiev in the conflict with Russia. Routh allegedly openly told his unidentified associate via an encrypted messaging app that he wanted to kill Trump, who was still a presidential candidate at the time, the document said. What did Routh say here? He tried to get an RPG or a Stinger. I need the equipment so that Trump don't get elected, Routh wrote in one of the messages. The suspect also allegedly told his contact that it should not be a problem to get him what he needs since you are at war and those items get lost and destroyed daily. One missing would not be noticed. One missing would not be noticed. I remember reporting way back during the beginning, the first year of the conflict. A story posted by the New York Times and or the Washington Post, which talked about how Biden and the Pentagon, they were sending weapons to Ukraine, a ton of weapons to Ukraine. This is way in the beginning. And they were pouring in weapons to Ukraine from the United States, and they had no tracking system. The tracking system, I remember, the article was saying that the tracking system was a pencil and paper, a pencil and a notepad. That was the tracking system that they were using for all the weapons that they were sending to Ukraine. Here we go. The suspect, Ryan Wesley Routh, was arrested in September after U.S. Secret Service agents found him with a rifle on the perimeter of Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Court documents show that he also considered other options involving much heavier weapons. Okay, so that's the story with Routh. Let's now talk about Elensky. Elensky capturing 2 Chinese soldiers. At least that's what Elensky claims. That is what he announced yesterday. Ukraine has captured 2 Chinese soldiers fighting for Russia against Ukraine in this conflict. Not North Korean. Forget about North Korea. North Korean is yesterday's news. Now we're talking about Chinese soldiers. 2. Captured 2 is what he claims. Interesting timing, huh? From Elensky. Right as we have this big tariff war between the United States and China and Trump and the Trump administration, they're talking all kinds of bad stuff about China. Elensky just happens to capture 2 Chinese soldiers. And what is Elensky saying? He's saying that the collective West and the United States, they have to do something. They have to give Elensky more money and more weapons. That's right. This is what Elensky is saying. Now that I've captured two Chinese soldiers fighting in Ukraine on the side of Russia, this means that the United States must give us more weapons and more money. Coincidence? No, not at all, man. Not at all. According to Elensky, the 2 soldiers were captured in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region and possessed documents, bank cards, and personal data. Why would they have bank cards? Did they have Union Pay or Visa, MasterCard? Maybe Mir cards. Maybe they were carrying Mir cards. Hey, what is this? Mir card? You have Mir card with you? Podolyak. Send them to the dungeon. Yep, they were carrying bank cards and passports and documents and written statements, everything. Photographs, mobile phones, photos with Xi Jinping. They were carrying all that stuff. What else did the Green Goblin say? Russia's involvement of China directly or indirectly in this war in Europe is a clear signal that Putin is going to do anything but end the war. How is that a clear signal? Oh my God, am I going to get through this statement from Elensky? How is that a clear signal that Putin will do anything except end the war? Because allegedly you found 2 Chinese soldiers, allegedly. Let's just go with it. He found 2 Chinese soldiers. That's a clear signal that Putin's not going to end the war. Okay. Anyway, let's get through this. Russia's involvement of China directly or indirectly in this war in Europe is a clear signal that Putin is going to do anything but end the war. He is looking for ways to continue fighting, the Ukrainian president warned. This definitely needs a reaction. The reaction of the United States, Europe, and everyone in the world who wants there to be peace. Definitely needs a reaction. Yep. That's what Elensky posted. That's what he said. So the United States, according to the New York Times, according to Zaluzhny, who confirmed it yesterday, the United States is still running a command center in Germany that is basically just running the entire conflict. The only thing Ukraine is to the United States, they're just the soldiers. They're the proxy. But everything else, according to the New York Times, is being run by the United States and by the collective West at this command center in Germany. Everything, all of it, the entire war conducted from Germany against Russia. But these 2 Chinese soldiers that we found, well, that means that Russia's never going to want peace, and they're never going to end the war. And well, the United States and the entire world has to help Elensky. Forget about the command center. Forget about the New York Times saying that the United States has been waging a coalition war against Russia from day one. Forget about all of that. U.S. generals at this command center, U.S. officials, government officials at this command center. Forget about all that stuff. The targeting, the surveillance, everything. The intel. Nope. The problem is that allegedly there were two Chinese soldiers. Two Chinese soldiers that were caught by Elensky with all of their documents and their bank cards. Oh, man. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Forget about all the mercenaries. Mercenaries, we have to say mercenaries, right? That's what they're called. All the mercenaries that the collective West has sent to Ukraine, right? Forget about all of them. Let's focus on the two Chinese guys, if that's what they are. All right, so that's that story. The State Department, they're siding with Elensky, as is the entire collective West media. The U.S. Department of State says China is one of Russia's biggest supporters in this war, and their cooperation is destabilizing the world. Yeah. Forget about our massive command center in Germany. It's China that's at fault. China is supporting Russia in this conflict. You know, the interesting part about China and the conflict in Ukraine is that that China, BRICS in general, but specifically China, they were putting restraints on Putin, on Russia, to not go too hard during the first couple of years of the conflict in Ukraine, because China had concerns. India had concerns as well, but China had concerns about the conflict. And of course, we are talking geopolitics and national interests. And we've talked about this on the Duran, actually, me and Alexander. China understood that with the U.S. bogged down in Ukraine, this would provide China with time to prepare for what would inevitably be an attack on China, an economic attack, in this case, a tariff war attack that we're seeing unfold. So China understood all of this, and they were putting pressure on Putin to not go so fast or so hard in Ukraine. And China actually kept good relations with Ukraine. I bet China's regretting that right about now, huh? China actually came out many times and tried to show support for Ukraine, not against Russia. They did it in a way that wasn't against Russia, but they also tried to help Ukraine out. And now Elensky, well, look at what he's doing to China. So Elensky's lost China for good. He's lost any support that China had for Ukraine, for Elensky. I would imagine that is gone. He has burned that bridge. But it was China that was putting restraints on Russia in the beginning. That wasn't the only reason why Putin and the Russian military were going slow or continued to be very cautious at how they're fighting this war. But that was China, and they even had a peace deal. They even put out a peace roadmap for Ukraine, and this is what Elensky does. Never trust the Green Goblin. Never trust the Green Goblin. So, the media is running with this story. CNN, Elensky confirms for the first time that Ukrainian troops active in Russia's Belgorod region. Then we have this narrative that Elensky is putting out there that Ukraine has managed to break through in Belgorod. After Kursk, he says they broke through now in Belgorod. Nonsense. Anyway, that's the China Elensky news. So let's talk about Trump tariffs and China. According to the AFP, China vows to fight U.S. tariffs to the end. I believe today the additional Trump tariffs from China's retaliation to Trump's Liberation Day tariffs against China, which put the tariffs at 104%, I believe. I think they go into effect today, according to the Trump administration. Wednesday, they go into effect. So 100%, 104% tariffs against China. Trump, He was speaking to the National Republican Congressional Convention or something like that. And he was talking about the tariffs. The National Republican Congressional Committee, the NRCC. Trump said that his administration is doing very well in early negotiations with countries already hit with a baseline 10% tariff last week. And he said dozens more facing even steeper duties starting Wednesday. I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my butt, Trump said. They're dying to make a deal. Please, 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 sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. Not a good comment from the President of the United States. Not a good look at all. What a bad look that was. But that's what he said. They're kissing my butt. Oh, boy. What else did Trump say during this speech? He said that China has ripped us off left and right, but now it's our turn to do the ripping. And he also said that the United States is going to start putting tariffs on pharmaceuticals. We're going to tariff our pharmaceuticals. We're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals. Yeah, this thing is getting way out of control. Way out of control. Well, let's see. Let's see how it all unfolds. Fox News, they put out, and this is coming from Fox News. This is not coming from me. So don't get angry with me. This is Fox News. They put out a chart as to where we stand with the tariff negotiations because Trump is saying that 50 countries want to negotiate with the United States. I do believe Japan. Actually, Japan has said that they're sending a delegation, so I imagine that's true. He said South Korea wants a deal. I imagine that's also true. India, we know from Jaishankar that India has a trade deal. I mentioned this yesterday. They have had a trade deal in the works with the United States in January. They're not going to retaliate. They're going to try and work on this trade deal instead. So we do have 3 countries that we know confirmed that they're trying to work on a deal. We also have it confirmed that Israel is trying to work on a deal. Vietnam tried, and they're still trying for a deal, as well as Cambodia. But here's what Fox News put up the other day. Trump tariff response, no retaliation. It has Mexico there. Possible retaliation. The European Union, I would say that's not possible. I think the EU is going to retaliate, but okay, it's still possible. We'll find out April. Well, actually, today they take a vote. Today the EU takes a vote, and April 15th, if the vote is approved, then April 15th, the 28 billion in EU tariffs will go into effect. So they have the European Union as possible. They have retaliated, China and Canada, offered concessions. They have Vietnam, India, Thailand, Israel, Indonesia, and they also have Taiwan there. And trying to negotiate, they have a bunch of countries there. Brazil, Colombia, Turkey, Australia, all kinds of countries. Singapore, Korea, Japan, South Korea, Japan, Switzerland, UK. So that's trying to negotiate. I think I read that chart correctly. So that's the situation according to Fox News. Trump said that what he wants from the European Union is he wants some money up front to pay for the past ripping off that the EU did to the United States. Trump wants money for that, and then they can talk about some sort of a deal. Trump says EU must buy $350 billion of U.S. energy to get tariff relief. Brussels' 0-for-0 tariff offer, not enough, the U.S. president says, but indicates he's open to a deal if the bloc commits to closing the trade deficit in goods. Yeah, he wants to close the deficit So he wants back pay, 350 billion. He did the same thing to Ukraine with the minerals deal, right? 350 billion, the same exact amount. He likes that number. He wanted 350 billion. He wants 350 billion from Ukraine in back pay, and then Ukraine sells off all of their resources to the United States going forward in perpetuity. And what he's asking of the European Union is 350 billion in purchasing of energy in order to pay off what has been ripped off from the United States, according to Trump. Oh, wow. No comment. No comment. The EU is in big trouble. They are in big trouble because at the same time that this is going on, check it out, at the same time that Trump is putting the squeeze on the European Union, they're coming up with their 17th sanctions package against Russia. Instead of, if I was the European Union, if I was Ursula, I would be sending some sort of a delegation. Orban, I would call up Orban and say, go to Russia, and we need friends wherever we can find them. Even enemies, we need to find a way. Even Russia, our enemy, we need to find a way to patch things up somehow. Because the United States, they're coming down hard on us. And this is going to really crush us as a European Union. Germany is already saying that they're going to get hit hard. Germany's finance minister warns of recession risk due to Trump tariffs. Jörg Kukies says German exports to the U.S. will decline by 15% if tariffs remain in place. So instead of the European Union, and as Germany goes, the entire European Union goes. So if Germany hits a recession, which it already is, but if they admit that they're in a recession and it becomes a very big recession because of the tariffs, then the entire European Union is screwed. This is coming from the U.S. side of things, right? And what does Ursula do instead of trying to find friends, trying to find some support, trying to patch things up with Russia, trying to patch things up with China? What is the European Union doing? 17th sanctions package. Just McFly. EU farmers warn Russian fertilizer ban risks price surge, AFP reports. Yeah, in the next sanctions, what they're going to do is they're going to start cutting off the Russian fertilizer, which is going to hurt farmers. And they're going to phase it out over 3 years, the cutting off of Russian fertilizer. But the farmers are saying, well, this is going to crush us. It's going to create price increases, and we're already having a hard time. We're already struggling, and you're just going to make things harder, European Union. But the EU, they promise the farmers. They are promising the farmers that they can get fertilizer from other places. And they're telling the farmers, don't worry, we got you covered. We've already got substitution. A substitution for the fertilizer. Don't worry, farmers. Yeah, don't worry. The EU's got your back. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Oh, the European Union. What are we to do with the European Union, man? Send someone to Moscow. Send Orban to Moscow. Send Fico to Moscow. And try to fix things. That's what you should do if you're the EU. If, of course, Russia would allow such a thing. If they would, they would let Orban and Fico come to Moscow and talk. They would let them come to Moscow and talk. Macron, no. Kaya Kallas, as much as I would like to see it, no. I would really like to see Kaya Kallas sent to Moscow. That would be, oh wow, that would be an entire video. But send Orban, try to fix things, because Trump, he's coming down hard on the European Union. Trump never liked the EU political elite. Going back to his first term with Merkel and all of these guys, remember that photo at a NATO event, and Trump's sitting at the desk, and you have, was it a NATO? No, it wasn't. It was either a NATO or it was either a G20 or one of these globalist events, which Trump attended in his first term. And Trump is sitting at the desk, sitting down, and you have all of the the EU globalist elite class looking at Trump, angry with Trump. I forgot what they were angry at Trump for at the time, but you could tell Trump never liked these guys, never liked them. The only European political kleptocrat who for some reason has it good with Trump, I can't figure out why, is Macron. He's the only one that knows how to sweet talk Trump, and Trump is responsive to his sweet talking. I don't know why. I've never been able to figure that one out. Anyway, let's get back to the tariffs. So that's the European Union. This is a post from SL Canthon, who says a popular theory on social media is that Trump is deliberately wrecking the economy so that interest rates would go down and the US government can roll over massive debt at lower interest rates. Oops, the yields for treasuries are staying high. Yeah, I talked about this in a video from Nicosia that I made last week. Remember, I floated out this theory that maybe one of the goals for the Trump administration was to get those interest rates low, because you do have debt that you're going to refinance. It's going to roll over about $7 trillion, actually. And so that may have been one of the aims of Liberation Day. It looks like the interest rates they're not getting lower. They're starting to go up. They're either they're staying where they are, or they're going up slightly. That's not good. That is not a good sign for the Trump administration at all. But we give it time. We give it time and see how all of this is going to unfold. It's a very interesting story, the tariffs, because you have so many very smart, very talented analysts and economists and financial experts, government officials, and they all have a different view. Everyone has a different view as to what's going to happen with this Liberation Day tariff war, which tells me that no one really knows. No one really knows. It's like the stock market. You don't know if a stock's going to go up or down. You just don't know. You're not sure. Everyone's unsure how all of this is going to play out. But we do have a lot of great analysis and interesting ideas as to how all of this is going to unfold. So the Washington Post, they are reporting that Musk is upset with Navarro, who, from what I understand, Navarro was one of the architects of these tariffs, which, from what the Washington Post is reporting, what many outlets are reporting, is that Trump went for the maximum deal, like the maximum tariff plan is what he went for. There were other plans that were presented to him, more moderate plans, but Trump went for the max. And the Washington Post is reporting that Musk, who has business interests in the United States and in China, all over the world, Musk has business interests, but he does have a big setup in China, that he's upset with Navarro. And he is actually, according to the Washington Post, he's actually going to Trump and telling Trump to roll everything back. That's what the Washington Post is reporting. I think the Navarro spat, this whole narrative that Musk is upset with Navarro, I think this comes from a post, an interview of Navarro, actually. And then it was posted on X, what Navarro said, and Musk didn't like it. Let me find the post. Peter Navarro on Elon Musk. We all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler. And to this statement from Navarro, this interview and this statement to Navarro, Elon Musk replied, Navarro is truly a moron. What he says here is demonstrably false. Yeah, what Navarro said is false. That's true. On this one, I agree with Musk. But that's where they're getting this fight between Musk and Navarro. Now, whether it's true that Musk has been pleading with Trump to stop this tariff war, to roll it back or to lessen it or something like that, don't know. We are talking about the Jeff Bezos Washington Post, not the most accurate of publications, but it's possible. It is possible. The tech oligarchs in the United States are very upset. The Wall Street oligarchs are very upset with what's going on. But the tech oligarchs, they're very, very upset with everything that's happening. And Musk, he is an industrialist, he is a manufacturer, but he's also a tech oligarch. He's kind of both of those things, I would say. He is from the tech world. So The Economist, they are reporting that the EU, they're going to arm Ukraine to the teeth. They're going to turn Ukraine into a steel porcupine. A steel porcupine. That's right. Ursula's steel porcupine statement, The Economist is saying that is the plan of the EU. The EU is completely lost, man. They're completely lost. They're going to, according to The Economist, they're going to pour hundreds and hundreds of billions of euros into making weapons for Ukraine, ammunition and air defense systems, or purchasing ammunition and air defense systems. So they're going to pour hundreds and hundreds of billions of euros into that. And then step two, according to The Economist, they're going to build up Ukraine's own defense industry. And they're going to pour hundreds and hundreds of billions of euros into building up Ukraine's defense industry. And they're going to fight the U.S. in a tariff trade war. And they're going to continue sanctioning Russia. And they're going to continue to have problems with China and EVs. The European Union, they're taking on the world, man. They are taking on the world. The only country that they're not taking on is Ukraine. 800 billion defense funds. 350 billion that Trump is asking them to pay back for the ripping off 17 sanctions packages against Russia, tariffs against Chinese EVs. Ursula's doing it all. And the number one goal is to turn Ukraine into a steel porcupine. I love it. A steel porcupine. Seize, not freeze. Steel porcupine, everybody. Okay, let's do some clown worlds. Enough of this EU Ursula nonsense. Enough of that. You're tuning in to this video because you want your daily dose of clown world. It should have been, the clown world should have been the Chinese soldiers that Elensky just happened to capture with their bank cards. Their bank cards. Oh boy. They always find the passports. The passports they always find. I'll go with that one because the passports, we're used to that. Right? You always find passports. But bank cards? Really? And the clown world part to all of this is that you had Tammy Bruce at the State Department actually reading a script and going along with what Elensky claimed. Oh my God. Oh my God, U.S. State Department under Marco Rubio. You're not doing any better than Blinkety Blinken. No, you are not. Anyway, let's do a clown world. Oh boy, this is a good one. This is a good one. According to Welt, the German publication, Annalena 360 She's going to New York. She's going to be hanging out with Alicia Keys and Jay-Z in New York. Yep, Annalena 360 is moving to the Big Apple. Yep, that is what Welt is reporting. I don't know if this is connected to the report that she's going to get the job as the UN General Assembly President, which doesn't mean she's going to be the UN Secretary General. That's not what she's going to be. This is a position which is a one-year position, and basically you're just running the General Assembly, and every year it shifts continents. I guess this year was from Africa, or last year, the year that's ending, was Africa, and this year they're going to pick someone from Europe. And so Germany is saying, let's go with Annalena to manage the General Assembly in the United Nations for 1 year. So I don't know if it's connected to that, or if this is just Annalena saying, you know what, I wrecked Germany. Now I'm going to New York, baby. I wrecked Germany. Now it's time to go to New York. To NYC. She's going home. She's going home to where her globalist masters will reward her. Going home to the mothership. So her globalist masters can give her next assignment or reward her with some sort of, if she doesn't get the New York gig, they will reward her with some sort of think tank position or NGO position or something like that. Job well done, Annalena. You did better than we could have ever imagined. Here's your reward. You're going to be the director of green climate policies against the Russian Federation think tank. I'm just making up a name, but you know, why not? Green climate policies against Russia, NGO. You're the new director for that. That's if she doesn't get the UN gig. So anyway, Annalena is heading to New York City, according to Welt. This is what Welt is reporting. I don't know how accurate Welt is, but that's what they're saying. I'm looking forward to New York, says Baerbock before her move. All right, that's the clown world. From the Telegraph, Russia could be behind the migrant terror attacks German investigators fear. The goal, security sources say, is to increase support for far-right pro-Kremlin AfD. Yeah, Germany's going to go after the AfD. They're already starting to come out with ridiculous Russian narratives. That means that that Merz and his crew, fearing the rise of AfD, which now in polls has them either equal to the CDU or maybe even just a little bit ahead of the CDU. The German globalists are freaking out because they understand that they're not going to be able to beat the AfD. And so they're now starting the propaganda against them so that they can probably cancel them, like Georgescu, like Le Pen. Democracy in the European Union. That's the video, everybody. That's the famous yellow submarine right there. I was walking up that way in a video. I don't know if you guys remember. I was walking all the way up that way in a video I made a couple of days ago. Coming to you from beautiful Napa, the Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.